Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is August 30th and we're doing robot and nonsense stories for your end of your August. How does that feel, end of August?
End of August is not good.
My August was just a black hole of misery.
Same.
But I don't know, is this good news? Maybe it might save you from some of the embarrassment if you watched on Wednesday that we talked about in the security section.
GitHub rolls out AI-powered fixes for code vulnerabilities. Basically, if your repository has some code vulnerability that's just known now or at some point in the future, they can automatically create a pull request that says, hey, here's your fix. Here's your thing you need to do. Here's your file you need to update. Here's your code that you need to replace. Usually just replacing a dependency. It can do it all.
Now, it used to be that we could count on some government suing a giant tech company every week.
Yeah.
Now we have, we still have that sometimes, but now we have a new copyright group suing an AI company every week.
Authors sue Anthropic for copyright infringement over AI training. Basically, a bunch of authors got together and they started asking things. And these are authors who the information shouldn't exist. Like, they should be the first party source of some of this information. And it shows up when the AI is knowledgeable on these things. So what happened there?
And it's kind of heartening that the proles, the average folk, seem to be starting to read the tea leaves and be like, I don't know if AI is in my best interest. I think it might be used against me. And some companies are jumping on that bandwagon.
The Verge's headline is Procreate's anti-AI pledge attracts praise from digital creatives. Krista, you're always talking about how awesome Procreate is.
Procreate's great. I paid $20 for it 5 years ago and I still get updates for it and it still works great. Very performant. No problems with it. I hope they never sell and then, start adding AI features to it.
Literally the opposite of all the things. Netflix popped up and was like, oh, it seems like this is in a different household.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't, and I canceled my Netflix.
It was long overdue.
Yeah, it was. I got the replacement system up and running years ago. Well, a little over a year.
And here is something that I've been experiencing recently, which is insurance in the healthcare system and that whole decision-making process and how insane and anti-human it is. And now it's only going to get worse, but there's an interesting arms race developing.
Doctors weaponize AI in insurance battles over patient care authorizations.
This is very similar to what we talked about last week, where it's like people who are putting out job listings use AI for that. But now people who are applying to those jobs are also using AI. And so it's just AI all the way down. This is happening now in healthcare.
If you only read one article this week, you should read this one. Because insurance companies had already weaponized AI a long time ago. But it turns out the companies that provide patient health records and cloud hosting, stuff like that, and the interface for the insurance companies can now use AI to help deal with the insurance company rejections. And so now, instead of it annoying a doctor and taking a lot of time for a doctor to deal with, it takes way less time for a doctor to deal with it, which is only going to escalate the amount of absurd rejections and crap that doctors have to deal with in order to get the numbers that insurance companies are paying back down.
Apparently they used to appeal, like I said, doctors usually could only appeal once or twice, because there's just not enough time in the day to deal with it. And now they're like, now this AI just lets them do it all the time. And it's like, is this helping anybody? Is this system helping anybody right now?
Yeah, it's helping insurance companies. But it's interesting also because you look at this on the surface and you think that the insurance company is saying, no, don't do that procedure, don't give that drug. But that's not what they're doing. The doctor is like, this person has some sort of insane liver disease and there's a specific drug exactly for that, but it's $100,000 a dose. And the insurance company would be like, we think ibuprofen would probably be good in this situation. And so the doctor would have to give a long explanation as to why their suggested drug is not as good as his suggested drug, his or her. Now the AI just does that. And the AI is just dancing and deciding your life.
My mom actually ran into this recently. She, her battery on her pacemaker will be ready for replacement in a couple years. And she asked her doctor, she was like, can we do it earlier? Can we just go on and replace it next year? And he was like, oh no, the way the insurance works, they will only pay for it if you wait 3 months before.
Wow, that seems like it would be so much, if it runs out.
Yeah, my mom's pacemaker dependent. Yeah.
The insurance costs will be insane. Well, I guess she'd probably just die, right? So,
yeah. So then it's not, my mom and I made that exact same dark joke.
So the insurance company would get exactly what they want.
Which is horrible I'm sure our European listeners were like, what?
And when it comes to making things less safe to save money, healthcare, not a place we want to do that. Another place that I would argue we should not be doing that, the roads.
Waymo's new robotaxi will feature fewer sensors to help lower costs, and that Verge's other headline is the company says that the 6th generation hardware is optimized for cost, but make no mention of the possible tariffs against Chinese EVs.
Also missing was the word safety.
Yeah, I don't want the robots that can kill me with one mistake to be optimized for cost. Let's optimize them for safety.
It's like I almost made the joke in the first episode this week when there were only 2 registered motor vehicles in Ohio. They were both in an automobile accident. It's like that with self-driving cars at this point. It's like, oh, we took all the sensors out. Oh, this bad thing happened. Who could have guessed?
I did love the story we did a week or 2 ago that was like all of them just honking at each other all the time.
They were probably racing, right? The 2 cars.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
So the surveillance of our future will be totalitarian, and it will. You're thinking, oh well, I'm being surveilled on my phone and my TV and my car and everything else, but that's not enough. We will have overt surveillance, literally over your shoulder.
IKEA's stock counting warehouse drones will fly alongside workers in the United States. This is the Verge's headline. AI upgraded drones coming to IKEA's. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I knew there was a picture down there, and I was like, I want to scroll down and look at the picture.
Well, it's just at Perryville, Maryland, in their warehouse. So they don't do any. I mean, they're just a nice little lightweight drone. They just take inventory and fly around.
What's unique about this is that previously they only worked after hours. Now they will be literally working next to the workers. Can you imagine though if you're up on like a ladder or something in one of them?
How about the noise?
Yeah.
I mean, you're working in a warehouse all day, and you're going to hear that whine. I've lost my spot.
It says they have like sensors to not run into stuff too, but you've really lost your spot.
Where were we?
Fill the time.
Oh, we were so. I thought we were further along. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
One space story. One space story, and this
It's also like a fashion story if you're into that.
But it's also a great story for the argument for proprietary hardware and software. In some cases, again, I think safety, right?
Yeah.
Should be the mandate. We should have a standard.
Spacesuit designs could stall Boeing Starliner astronauts' return from the International Space Station. So even if SpaceX went to rescue them, their spacesuits are incompatible.
So you might be thinking, well, can't we whip up a couple of spacesuits for them?
Nope.
But no, that's not going to be the option. The option, if that has to happen, they have to be out of suit in the cargo hold.
Ugh.
How can that be safe?
The answer is it isn't. But yeah, apparently, so in the Boeing design, I guess each of the like oxygen and everything, each one has like its own port.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I thought so too. But apparently the SpaceX one, it's like all through one. And I was like, so if there's a problem with one, that's all of your life support systems severed at once?
It's the Apple design philosophy for your life.
I mean, it is technically simpler, but if something goes wrong, there is no room for redundancy.
I can speak from firsthand experience. All the people trying to use multiple monitors through one Thunderbolt cable is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I've got 2 4K 144 monitors. No, there's not enough bandwidth. Stop it.
I hate to be the one who's maybe on Boeing's side here, but maybe we should follow that standard. If we're going to make a standard, redundancy is probably the key.
Now, I put this in the AI section because I thought for sure the AI was going to be responsible for this. But I don't think they actually admitted that, did they?
No.
It seems likely, but this might have just been a marketing exec doing it on their own. I don't know.
Lionsgate pulls Megalopolis trailer offline due to made-up critic quotes and issues an apology. "Quote unquote, we screwed up." And this is because, I mean, this is Martin Scorsese films, right? Is that right?
It's a different dude, right?
I can't remember.
It's a Francis Ford Coppola.
Coppola. Yeah, that's right. I should have known that. Because they had The Godfather and a bunch of other...
From the director of, yeah.
Yeah, when The Godfather came out, it was kind of panned. And then, so they're saying, this is the same dude. He's made a classic, but it might not be immediately apparent that it's an instant classic.
But the quotes, many of them were negative.
Yeah.
And they were trying to point out like, oh, the critics have always doubted Francis. And then he just puts out banger after banger. But one of the critics was like, hey, I just went back through my stuff. I never said that.
You just used my name.
And so they had to retract it and pull it back, although it's out there on the internet, right? So there is no taking it back.
Maybe that's part of a brilliant backhanded plan in some way.
I forgot to include this story. They released a trailer for War of the Rohirrim this week as well. But the first 30 seconds of the trailer is just clips from The Lord of the Rings. And then it shows the regular animated trailer. And it's like, that doesn't really scream that you're confident in your product when you feel like you need to really dredge up the past like that.
Is that going to be a movie or a TV show?
It's a movie, but it's animated. It's anime.
Oh.
Anime Rohirric history. Except a lot of it looks like it's made up from the trailer. But
I mean, technically it's all made up.
yeah, but not made up by the person.
It doesn't follow the lore.
It doesn't follow the lore. Which sometimes that can be good. That can be interesting, but I don't know. It feels a little more Ghibli than Tolkien. Anyway.
Now, this is interesting because if you've been following the Democratic National Convention, there have been some angry people outside who have a lot of things to say. And this is kind of funny because it's like, you will eat the bugs, right?
Is that what they were going for, you think?
I don't know, but they definitely did something that was very nasty.
FBI probes insect attack on Democratic breakfast in Chicago. So basically, somebody got access to the food carts before everybody else got access to the food carts and released a lot of insects. Not just the food carts, but also the tables as well.
Maggots and something else in the buffet, which...
At least it wasn't mosquitoes.
You can't just undo that. Turns out they did this also at one of Netanyahu's speeches in Washington. So this is a preferred tactic for this group, I guess.
Interesting.
Would you keep eating?
No. I don't know, though. Maybe. Probably not. Depends on how hungry I am.
I mean, if they're big enough for me to pick them out.
That's if I could see them, yeah. Don't think about the frass in there.
Well, one place you're not going to have to worry about bugs in your food because they have the highest quality standards and they're poor employees.
My pleasure.
They're very well behaved. I don't know what they threaten them with, but they have decided that they are pretty much the king of fast food, in my opinion. But should they branch out into other parts of commerce?
Chick-fil-A is reportedly launching a streaming service for some reason. Yes, yet another streaming service. Meanwhile, if you enjoy the other content on this channel, we have shown you many times how to build your own streaming service, which is going to be far superior to any of these.
But your personal streaming service is not going to have custom Chick-fil-A content, which apparently is going to be like family-friendly drivel.
I was imagining like Chick-fil-A After Dark. It's just like shots of sauce, like slow motion.
I am so close to having my Danny DeVito AI working, where I literally can just say, hey, here's a recording of Lord of the Rings. I want you to substitute Danny DeVito for every character. And like it almost works. That's where we are in August of 2024. It literally almost works. The next prediction to come through is probably going to be Santa Cow.
So, you guys ever go to haunted houses?
I've been to one, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to one or twice.
Have you ever been to a haunted house so good that it breaks your understanding that you're in an entertainment venue and not actually being attacked by ghosts?
No.
This man did not have that experience.
Japan karate expert who broke the jaw of a haunted house ghost loses his lawsuit. Oops.
So there was a settlement. They broke the dude's jaw. Settlement for $50,000 US, which a broken jaw, I mean, that's worth something. But then this guy agreed to the settlement, but later changed his mind and sued the venue. And one of his arguments was, they should have clearly seen that I was drunk when I came in there.
That's funny.
I was wasted.
Now this was also a different kind of haunted house than I thought it was at first, which is I was thinking ghost hunter style haunted house. This is more like Halloween style haunted
jump
haunted
scares.
House. Yeah.
I've been to a haunted house where they have a dude with a chainsaw.
But there's no chain.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how they get around that safety? I always wondered that.
Yeah.
I always just backed away. I was like, I didn't try to go in swinging to the guy with the chainsaw.
It was a kick. Which a kick, I feel like, takes more time to like plan and set up. He said it was a total reflex. Now, he was drunk.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't too drunk to pull off a a well-balanced
high kick,
kick.
yeah.
And one thing about the Olympics that I saw a couple of people pointing out, and I think is a fair thing to say is, I mean, we look at the amount of money that France invests in that, right? And the amount that they can reap, and NBC and all of that. You know who doesn't get any of that money? The actual athletes. And another place where that is true, college football.
Oklahoma State football introduces the NIL Fund QR codes on players' helmets for the 2024 season. I am so sure that I have seen this in dystopian sci-fi.
Is this like tipping your player?
Yes.
That's awful.
But you don't tip individual players because that would be unfair, right?
Oh, of course.
So
yes.
you tip the team fund that gets divided among the players. But yes, they're saying, hey, we're making all this money, all this television money, all of these tickets on these players. We're giving them nothing except a free education. But you should pay their salaries because they work hard. And boy, this is becoming a recurring theme in the nonsense section, isn't it? We know that our testicles are just packed full of these, but we didn't know about this organ.
Microplastics are infiltrating the brain tissue, studies show, and there's nowhere left untouched.
I'm sure that's fine.
That's not the headline I should have led with. The headline I should have led with was, there is a strong correlation in dementia patients with a higher concentration of brain plastic.
And the last time they checked this was in 2016. It's gone up 40%. 0.05% of your brain could be plastic.
Just floating around in there. It's also, they find it in a placenta too.
Livers,
Yeah.
kidneys, basically everywhere.
I say as I drink from my can that's lined with plastic.
We should go back to lead.
It's a little bit poetic, right? That we inflicted plastic upon the world, and now we are ourselves becoming plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it.
We're the turtles trapped in the rings.
And I love a good airplane horror story.
Man bleeding after hair transplant arrested for refusing to leave the plane at Miami airport.
This is just Tobias.
So you can see what the state of his head is here.
Oh.
And the people on the plane were like, hey,
Can you not do that?
you're bleeding. And he was
Mr.
like,
Gay, he's bleeding.
like, listen, I don't have any bandages.
Oh.
So you're going to have to deal with this. And they said, you have to leave the plane. And he decided to get rowdy. Everybody had to get off the plane. Can you imagine?
That's terrible. It's so bad.
Maybe the Bluth Company will have a fundraiser for him.
And many of you are probably lamenting the return to office dynamics that are going on, right? It's this big fight. And you would think that, like, well, everybody should play by the same rules, right? And technically over at Starbucks, everybody does have to play by the same rules. But some of the people at the top, at the very top, get a lot of special concessions for that.
Starbucks' new CEO will supercommute 1,000 miles from California to Seattle office instead of relocating. I always like that joke in the Dr. Evil Austin Powers movies. It's like the Space Needle in Seattle was the Dr. Evil's headquarters for Starbucks. None of that's true.
What's particularly strange about this is that they've put this on the Make It section of this website, which is like feel-good stories. And I'm like, is this a feel-good story? I don't think it is.
So he was previously CEO of some other company. I'm trying to figure out what it was.
It's going to be $3 to $7 million a year in salary. So
Chipotle. He was previously the CEO of Chipotle. Which Starbucks? Chipotle? Like,
I guess they're both restaurants, but
that's like when the Schiller became the Pepsi CEO, went to Apple. It doesn't make any sense. Those things are not the same.
so I don't know what this guy, like, why he is just so amazing and they'll do anything to keep him. But Chipotle moved their home office to be in the same town he was in. So he clearly likes wherever he is, and he will only run your company if you make concessions for that.
So he's not returning to office, is what you're saying.
No, he has to be in the office 3 days a week, but he gets the private jet.
which and every time you see Starbucks, like, we only use paper straws and paper cups. Think about that.
Yeah, the environment.
Engagement challenge. I know there's someone in their audience who could calculate the number of paper cups it would take to offset that guy's jet usage, assuming that he only commutes once a week for the 3 days, and the 3 days are all clumped up together.
Oh, and he also gets a pass. So, like, part of his job, I guess, is going to individual Starbucks stores. So if he goes to a Starbucks store somewhere else to like inspect it or whatever, that counts as an office day. So he probably won't even be in the office for 3 days a week.
So he is actually working remotely at a cafe.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's there on his laptop.
That's not allowed anymore, Krista.
And I love a good story about authority getting called out for the bad behavior, but then you have the follow-up, which is inevitably this.
Florida officer fired after video showed her calling man punk after he called her for help has won back the job.
It's because of the police union. Because you can't get rid of them, no matter how bad they are.
Boy, I really hates it.
And this is a flashback from last week, right? More meth in the foods, in the produce.
$5 million worth of meth disguised as watermelons found at California Customs checkpoint.
Just crack it open. Hey!
No, you're thinking like they had the meth inside the watermelons? No, look at this amazing piece of subterfuge.
Oh, wow. I could see why you would make that mistake.
These were the meth melons.
I'm assuming that they like had them mixed in with regular melons,
yeah.
but it'd be hilarious if it was just all fake melons like that.
I think it was probably like melons on top, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't know. All of those look kind of suspicious.
It's a poor asset from the Unity store.
Oh my god!
Oh, this one is amazing.
I've done it again.
There we go.
It's just, I don't.
Oh.
What have you done?
If society,
you
like
clicked outside of
again,
it.
when you realize that all of the world around us is built to deal with the dumbest bottom 10 or 15%, you start to have like you get real sad first of all, but second of all, you start to realize,
my job is designing for these people.
But also the desperation of the U.S. consumer, right? When it comes to our food prices.
Woman arrested at Indiana Applebee's after argument over all-you-can-eat deal, according to the police. This was a table of 4 people who thought that the $15.99 all-you-could-eat riblets deal at Applebee's covered the entire table and not a single person. Because what's the difference? But also, how food desperate are people?
It's not just riblets, though. This actually sounds like a pretty good deal if you're looking to put away a lot of food. You can choose between, like, I think chicken strips or ribs or...
Fries were also unlimited?
Unlimited fries, yeah. I mean, it sounds like a feast.
I'll never forgive Applebee's for changing the riblets like 20 years ago.
The argument was based on the idea that the menu does not say per person.
But it does.
The manager went in and got the menu, brought it back out, and pointed out where it says per person. And then the woman continued to fight and got arrested.
Wow. But her friends paid, and so they dropped the charges because they were like, we're just not going to pay. What are you going to do? And it's like,
I'll arrest you? Yeah. Also, the one person who didn't pay, like, do you think that happens a lot when that friend group goes out? She's like, oh, I forgot my wallet again.
They said in the article that all of her friends were trying to, like, just put their hands over her mouth to keep her from, and it was, no.
Not working.
This is just people being, I guess this is the Darwin Awards, right? Or close to it.
The bottom 10%. We need a new segment, chat. You got any ideas what we should call it?
The bottom 10%, probably, right?
I'm going to refresh this real quick so we can get a little shot of the video in question.
Look at it.
Look, it's so cute.
I mean, they are cute.
Do the headline.
Woman nearly bitten by tiger after climbing over fence at New Jersey Zoo.
So there's an outside perimeter and then the wire cage. She got in the outside perimeter, which you're not supposed to do. And I think she had the idea that she could just come and pet the tiger. And he would be cool with it. He took a snap at her. Instead, she thought better of the situation.
Although they said that in the surveillance footage that it looked like that she was posing for a photo as well.
My favorite part of this is like whoever designed this zoo designed for the lowest common denominator. So like we need a second fence, we need a perimeter fence, and that probably saved this woman's hand.
And also the whenever somebody designed that, it was like this is going to be for the dumbest 1%, and that window has moved down.
Yeah. Now it's like we need 3 fences.
I love if you go and watch the video on your own, and after she recoils and starts to turn away, the tiger's like all worked up, or he's just like, "Oh, it's on, bitch. Let's do this. I'm so ready for this. You know how bored I am in here."
That's tigers are kind of known for that too. Like I've heard like if you're traveling in forests in like India where tigers are native, sometimes like they would do like masks on the back of their head because the tigers will wait till your back is turned to attack you.
I've seen people who raise tigers and they're like BFFs, but they'll show if they sit with their back to them, the tiger will pounce on them and not like attack them, but just like love them. You know, they just have that.
Well, cats do that. Like little cats, house cats will do that too.
They're the same, just little, so we can have them in our homes.
Yeah.
I love how when you catch them doing that too, they act all nonchalant, and it's like, I know what you were up to.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to do anything.
Now, we talk a lot about, you know, the mega rich and the, like Schmidt last week, right? He did that talk, and he was like, just steal people's content and pay for it later. And by the way, if you don't go back to the office, you're ruining the world, you know? And it's like, you're completely out of touch, aren't you? You have no idea.
You've never been told no.
And here's another situation where a man he seemed to be proud of this plan, having no understanding of how the world would interpret it.
Alain Delon's family refused to put down his pet dog the actor wanted to be buried with. So I guess there was an interview in 2018 where he was talking about this amazing dog, and he's like, oh, this is the dog that's going to be with me when I die. Oh, and when I die, I'm going to ask the vet to put him down so he can go to sleep in my arms and we can be buried together. Well, it turns out that people in France were unhappy with that, and the family has said,
we're not actually
we're not
going
going
to
do that.
I think it was in his will, too. But yeah, he did that interview, and he had no qualms about saying, it's like, oh, I have a special... Also, he said he's had 50 dogs in his lifetime. I guess that's got to be more than one at a time, right?
Right.
And he was like, yeah, but I got a special connection. This one, it's going to be buried with me. I was like, oh.
That's dark.
You don't want to be this guy's favorite dog.
What a monster.
That's going to require, I guess it would be fine. Maybe if there's a family mausoleum or something, they could just wait it out for the dog to die of natural causes.
I guess. But that's not what he wanted.
No.
Like, he had worked it out. How about the lawyer who had to work out that will and testament? And they were like, ooh, I can't say no.
Probably the same as the Disney lawyers we were talking about earlier in the week. They're just like,
whatever I got paid.
I bet they were proud of it. I bet they thought they were so clever. And finally, this is a fun story to end on.
Players using toy claw game surprised by live groundhog among the stuffed animals. The groundhog found a place that was warm and clean and quiet, and it was a claw machine.
The claw.
It's funny because who do you call, right?
Animal control, I would assume.
Well, first they called the vending machine company, and the vending machine company was like, So then they called the cops, and the cops were like, we're not sticking our hands in there. So it had finally got to, like you say, animal control, and they got him and put him out nearby, which means
he'll probably come back. Yeah. There's a lot of groundhogs around here, if you ever notice. Like, sometimes when you're stopped at like a stoplight and you'll see like a big grassy hill, you'll see them running up around.
I've not seen them, but to be fair, I don't play claw machines.
That's true.
The venue that hosts this claw machine is already merchandising his likeness. Smart. They got a name for him, Colonel Custard, because they sell custard at this place.
Cute little fella.
He looks a little upset. He looks a little annoyed.
He was like, I was kind of just happy chilling in here, and now you guys have ruined my nice chill day.
Some of these arcades are basically outdoor, like it's a covered area, but then there's just, like a security fence that they roll up and down when it opens and closes.
Well, we'll just get a claw machine, just fill it with kittens. I guess the drop would be, but they're cats.
They're fine, yeah. They land on their feet.
The pee and poop would also be a problem.
You'd hose it out every day. Maybe have
with them in it.
Have a grate on the floor.
And then, but like when you go put your hand in to get your kitten, it's just full of.
You got to make some sacrifice.
We have to workshop this idea. Anyway, you've wasted a perfectly good week with us. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you in the next one. If you like this program, please support us on Patreon or Floatplane, or buy a t-shirt from store.level1text.com, or leave a comment. Bye!